Dear learners of Standard 7, welcome you all to the new class. Hopefully, you all are safe and sound at home. You know, usually I take your geography class. In this term, I will take your science geography class. So, we can start the class now. Our today's topic is from chapter 12, lesson 1 and 2. The earth moves round the sun. You know what is earth? The earth is an astronomical object that revolve around the stars are called the planets, that is our earth. And what is sun? Sun is a medium size star. It also told it is the regulator of the solar system, and on the basis of the sun our solar system moves. Now follow the figure. The sun is the center around which our habitat the earth. Another 7 planets, that is the Mercury, Venus, including the earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. These 7 planets, some more luminaries. You know about the 7 heavenly bodies, comet, asteroids. These luminaries revolve, and all the moving luminaries and the huge space centering the sun are called our solar system. So we know planets, stars, Milky Way, galaxies, and the empty space between them constitute our outer space, and outer space is not made of any object, and it is the outer space. This is beyond your imagination how big it is, and this huge universe beyond your vision is called the space. Now here follow the earth, sun. The earth moves centering the sun, and this motion of the earth is of 2 types. In standard 6 you have learned the motion of the earth. There are 2 types of motion: annual motion and diurnal motion. So diurnal motion, what? The earth rotates on its own axis taking 24 hours time, and the effect of this motion is day and night occurs. And another one motion, that is the annual motion. The earth revolves around the sun in its own orbit once in a year, that means 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes and 47 seconds. And one of the major effects of the earth motion, annual motion, is change of seasons and the fluctuations of the time of day and night. So one by one I will discuss with you. First, follow here. The earth moves round the sun. In class 6 you have got the idea on the earth, the sun, the moon. Early in the morning the sun is found to be rising in the east. Gradually it comes over our head. In the evening the sun sets in the west. So here you are following the image, that is gradually it comes over our head. So at the end what happened? At the end of the night, the next day early in the morning, the sun again rises in the east and sets in the west. So it seems from the earth that the sun moves round the earth from the east to the west, but it is not actually happened. What? Men used to think so in ancient time, but the scientists have been able to prove that in fact the sun does not move round the earth, rather the earth moves round the sun. So some scientists tried to give the proof one after another. Follow here. Why do we think only the sun moves round the earth? Why not the earth moves round the sun? Follow. The earth is moving round the sun from the earth, but it seems that sun is moving round the earth. In ancient time, man was interested into the sun, the moon, the stars, and still you are also interested to know about the different types of astronomical objects of the universe. At that time, there was no instrument to observe these luminaries. Man only depends what? The depends on the sunlight. So they would believe as they observe with their bare eyes. One example I want to tell you, that you have certainly gone out for a walk by bus, launch or train. Have you marked one thing? When these run fast, the trees seem to be moving so fast backward if you look through the window. Actually, the train, the launch or the bus is running forward, but they seem to be standing still. So, the bus, train, launch, these types of vehicles have the motion. But on the other hand, the trees by the side are at rest, but they seem to be moving so fast backward. So, this example we can give in case of the motion of the sun and earth. So, the earth and the sun are in the same condition, and the earth is moving round the sun from the earth, but it seems that the sun is moving round the earth. Follow. What are you observing here? The image of the philosopher scientist Aristotle. So, what you know that Aristotle was a great philosopher and scientist 2000 years ago, and he used to think that the sun moves round the earth. So, Aristotle told us about the earth-centric model, that earth is in the center and all these astronomical objects or the planets are moving around the earth. From now to 2000 years ago, famous mathematician and astrologer Ptolemy told strongly that all things move round the earth. So, Ptolemy also agreed with the Aristotle. This motto was believed by man for a long time, but some did not believe the motto of Ptolemy. But none was able to prove it wrong, because Aristotle was a great philosopher and scientist. What is he told, that is correct one. So, about the history of Aristotle, just look here, who was a philosopher and Plato's most famous student. He demonstrated in his writings what follow, major 4 items he tried to demonstrate it here, that he knows we see the moon by the light of the sun, how the phases of the moon occurs and how eclipse work, observations that support the idea of a spherical earth, and that he believed the motions of the planets must be circular. However, Aristotle believed that the earth was not moving but at rest. Using Aristotle's idea, if the earth were moving through the space, if you tripped, you would not be in contact with the earth and so would get left behind in space. What here follow views of the, so Ptolemy, we learned here that Ptolemy told strongly that all things move round the earth, but the Copernicus told about the sun-centric model. Copernicus told that the sun is in the center and around which all the luminaries revolve. So, Copernicus also here follow Copernicus theory, and Copernicus was an astrologer, gave a new theory through observation, and he proposed the model of the sun-centric model instead of earth-centric model. The main theme of this model is that the earth moves round the sun. So, all the luminaries or the planets move round the sun. He also told a new thing, that the earth rotates on its own axis. So, I have told you beforehand, that is, earth has 2 types of motion, diurnal motion and annual motion. Earth rotates on its own axis, that is the diurnal motion, and revolves around the sun, that is the annual motion. So, who proved it? Copernicus proved that the earth rotates on its own axis. Later, the scientists Galileo and Kepler presented the proof of this model in favor of Copernicus. At present, this model is proved and scientists and common people have accepted it. So, now we know the centering the sun, all the luminaries revolve. Now come to the point from the lesson 2, that is the solar system. This is the typical figure of the solar system, and you have to practice to draw this typical figure of the solar system. Follow, the sun is the center around which are habited the earth and other 7 planets and some more luminaries revolve. all the moving luminaries and the huge space centering the sun are called the solar system. The huge universe beyond our vision is called the space. And we have the 8 planets, that is the Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. So here follow about the motion of the Earth. That is, Earth has 2 types of motion, diurnal motion and annual motion. So the Earth rotates on its own axis and revolves around the Sun in its own orbit once in a year. So one of the effects of the Earth's rotation is the occurrence of day and night and the change of season. So this is the rotation on its own axis. Day and night occurs. North Pole and South Pole presented in Standard 6. You learned about the equator, the Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn. Okay, North Pole and the South Pole, and directions of Earth, spin direction from west to east. So in diurnal motion, Earth rotates on its own axis. It takes 24 hours and day and night occurs, and the revolution based Earth rotates around the Sun, and the season change occurs and the fluctuations of the day and night occurs, and it takes 365 days. And I have told you more precisely, it takes 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes and 47 seconds. So now we will know about the Sun. So the characteristics of the Sun, I have told Sun is the regulator or controlling body of the solar system. So the Sun is the medium sized star. It is bigger than the Earth lakh times more, and it is approximately 15 crore kilometers away from the Earth. So we see the Sun so small, like a small dot. The Sun is the center around which the Earth and other 7 planets and some more luminaries revolve. The Sun is the burning gaseous body contains mainly hydrogen and helium gas. So how do we get heat and light from the Sun? The question may arise. The atoms of hydrogen gas mixing with one another and turns into the atoms of helium. A lot of energy is produced in this process, and this energy spreads in the solar system as the heat energy and light energy. Thus we get heat and light from the Sun. So dear learners, today up to this, you must read your book and you must try to memorize these characteristics and try to understand the topic. Stay safe and stay blessed at your home. Thank you all.